What's up everybody, my name is Dwight and welcome back to GeForce Garage. Today we have John and Ellie of LiquidHaus back in the studio. This time they brought their take on the Raider backpack from Arc Raiders. Well, hey there Ellie, hey John, welcome back to GeForce Garage.
Thank you for having us.
So what did you guys bring us today?
So we brought a pretty crazy fusion between the Arc Raiders video game and our own LiquidHaus ISO chassis. Basically the backpack frame that the Raiders use when they're going up and down from underground to the surface.
How did you guys come up with the concept of adding the rest of this to kind of bring that Arc Raiders aesthetic to life?
Yeah, so obviously Arc Raiders is a third-person game. So that was our focal point for this. The ISO chassis happened to be a very perfect match for the design.
Nice. So can you tell me a little bit about the process of how you went about wrapping a frame around your guys' chassis?
So basically it was a sense of, okay, sure, if we can fuse our chassis to this backpack frame design, how are we gonna do that, right? So we threw our designs in a 3D modeling software and said, okay, so let's try and shape the frame around our chassis design in a way that makes sense, right? Basically at that point, it was a sense of designing piece by piece around the profile of our chassis. And then we actually found a really intuitive way to mount the frame itself to the chassis, and that is going through the chassis into the radiators. However, it's not metal.
First looking at it, I couldn't tell that it wasn't metal. You guys did a great job hiding the layer lines, is what I'm trying to say.
Thank you. That was mainly Ellie's work right there.
And you can see that it's not 100% perfect. And that is kind of going back into the lore of the game, right? So this is a post-apocalyptic theme. These raiders are going up to surface, they're fighting, they're looking for supplies. So obviously their own supplies are going to get beat up and kind of messy in the process. So we were able to use that to our advantage, if you will.
It is kind of nice to work with something that is meant to be beat up, because then you're not beating yourself up by it not being perfect.
100%.
You don't gotta throw out the whole thing.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about the actual creation of the PC itself, like putting everything together?
Well, so we've done quite a few builds with our ISO chassis lately, and they've been all very different from one another. And so at this point, it was a challenge of, okay, so how are we gonna do this one differently that also goes in line with the lore and the theme of the game, right? With the Arc Raiders logo, you had the 4 primary colors as part of the logo, right? You have the red, yellow, green, and the blue. And at that point, in the logo, they're all parallel. So the challenge for us was, okay, how do we create a cohesive way to maybe create these 4 colors in a parallel way, but with water cooling, right? That's what we do. And so that was probably the trickiest part. And so we tried a few different variations of the build layout itself, but we're really glad it came together in a very cohesive way in that sense that basically you've got a fully water-cooled system, other than the GPU, of course, that matches the theme. And anyone familiar with the game would see, like, oh, wait, that looks like the backpack frame.
Yeah, I think you guys did a great job. I feel like you guys in particular have a very unique take on how you go about water cooling, especially with tube layout. So I always appreciate it, and hopefully, people at home also appreciate the effort that goes into it, because it isn't just plug and play for you guys. You look at it differently.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One thing that we really like to do here, and with our philosophy, is we don't want to be put in a box. We don't want to do things the same way. We want people to really look at our build and think complexly.
We want someone to look at this and be like, what am I even looking at first, right? We want to shake that status quo of what a PC build can be. It doesn't need to just be in a box, like Ellie was saying. And so with the water cooling, it completely can transform a build into something completely different and give it a lot more personality and character. And therefore, anyone else that would be doing it for their own build, it can match their own character or their own personality, and they can be more proud of it.
Well, you guys did an incredible job building and designing the PC, but what are the actual specs of it?
Sure, so at the core of everything, we've got the Asus ROG STRIX Z890-i gaming Wi-Fi motherboard paired up with Intel's Core i7 265K CPU. We have DDR5 and storage covered by our friends at Patriot Viper. And then we've got the Asus STRIX 1000 watt platinum power supply paired up with custom cable mod cables. And then of course we've got full water cooling done with our friends over at Bits Power, noise blocker E-loops, along with MDPCX sleeving and our custom cube tubes. And then of course our GeForce RTX 5080 Founders Edition.
Okay, well, I think the only thing left is to install Arc Raiders and see how well it performs.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, so we have Arc Raiders set to 4K resolution with the graphic preset to Epic, DLSS set to performance with MFG ×4 and reflex enabled. This is an absolutely beautiful looking game. I saw it sitting around 280 to 300 FPS, even in situations that I probably shouldn't have tackled solo. It was my first time playing Arc Raiders, so I'll just blame it on that. I think the next time I play, I'll probably bring a couple of friends.
Thank you very much, John and Ellie, for coming in. It's always a great pleasure to see you guys, and I can't wait to see what you're cooking up next. If you guys enjoyed this video and would like to see more, hit that subscribe button down below, and I'll see you for the next one.